Excited to be here. We're excited to share our story with you all today. And it's an honor just to be considered for this award.
I want to start off by posing a question to you all. Where do you find courage to take your first step forward when you are paralyzed by pain and fear? Now, I'm not talking about a single moment in time. I'm talking about living at or near rock bottom for months or years and getting to a point where you're unable to create any momentum. There are many different answers to this question, as there are many different paths that lead to success. This story is how we got ourselves moving and how we haven't looked back.
My name is Sarah Smith, and you just heard from Chris Amenta. We are the proud owners of Newport Strength and SoCal Weightlifting since 2016. Our facility is 7,000 square feet with over 200 active clients. We offer Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, and CrossFit style training. We have 4 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees. We are on track to end our year just under $500,000 in revenue.
Now, this story really begins at a crossroads 3 years ago. I found myself in my garage making less than $600 a month with only 5 weightlifters after the collapse of my first CrossFit gym. I had to decide whether or not to go back to my previous career or keep my weightlifting club alive. The reason I chose to pursue my passion was partly due to my 5 athletes and the camaraderie we shared in that small garage. But the main reason I made the decision was because of my 12-year-old athlete at the time, Josiah. Josiah's story is another presentation in of itself, but in a nutshell, Josiah's life was a series of abandonment and loss, and I refuse to add to that. Josiah's devotion to the sport and trust in me gave me no option to quit. However, over the course of the following 6 months, I put everything into my club and into Josiah and nothing into myself. So this eventually took a toll on me, and I spiraled into a state of depression. I felt alone, without help, and I had no way of getting rid of the feeling. I was ashamed and embarrassed of the decisions that I made and the person that I became. This photo is an actual bank statement dated November 1st, 2015, and it paints a pretty good picture of the situation that I was in. I was so disgusted with myself that I abandoned all basic life functions. I didn't care about whether or not I ate, slept, or took care of myself in any way. I entered into a state of self-sabotaging behavior that continued to snowball to the point that I thought my only way out was to take my own life. When my passion for weightlifting, or even the love for Josiah, wasn't enough to keep me going, I immediately knew that I hit rock bottom. I had to start making some serious changes in order to save my own life. The very first step I took was getting out of the garage. I started renting space for my team inside of a CrossFit gym. This at least gave me a small sense of purpose. I now had a reason to get up and get out of the house. As small of a change as this was, it was monumental for me at the time, and this started opening up doors. On top of coaching my team of athletes, which started to slowly grow inside of a new atmosphere, I picked up a part-time job coaching CrossFit at another gym called CrossFit Doctrine, and this is where I met Sarah.
Shortly after Chris started working at the gym I was at, the owner decided to close the facility. As well as losing 2 other jobs around the same time, this left me with no job and no place to train. I was overweight and needed to change my CrossFit regime to something else. I joined Chris's weightlifting team in February of 2016 for free, a reflection of his business decisions at the time. I wasn't the only one that had a unique membership. Another athlete paid his monthly membership in the form of a coffee mug, which subsequently broke a week later. The screenshot of the conversation you see is him offering for me to join his club free of charge if I tried to recruit some of the Doctrine athletes to join as well, which didn't work. I had just completed my master's degree in sport management, and it didn't take me long to notice Chris's poor business decisions and how he ran the club. He needed help, and I could provide it. I came on board as the club manager, taking over basic tasks like setting up automatic monthly payments instead of taking cash, excuse me, and ordering team shirts for the first time. The image you see on this slide is a screenshot of one of our first meetings we had together, where Chris outlined his vision for SoCal weightlifting, as well as our 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year goals. We worked together the following months and realized what a complementary working relationship we had. The days of paying with a coffee mug were no more. By the summer of 2016, our club had grown well past capacity for the space we were renting. We were excited to see success, and we felt we were doing something great. Neither of us felt hopeless anymore, and there seemed to be an exciting future ahead of us. As a Canadian, though, I had an expiring student visa, and we needed to find a way for me to stay in the country. We knew of a local CrossFit gym that was interested in selling, so we met with the owners of Newport Strength with the intention of buying it. This would give our weightlifting club somewhere to move to, and I would be able to get a visa as the business owner. We spent the next few months working on a buyout plan with the owners and learned of NPE through them. Jill recommended we attend mega training, which we were apprehensive to attend, unaware of the benefits to us. That weekend, we were overwhelmed with motivation to start working on the business, staying up late on the Saturday night, mapping out our core values. Core values we use today to hire, fire, develop, and make all our business decisions. We officially became the owners of Newport Strength in November 2016 and started with our coach, Evan.
The gym we purchased was 2 facilities, separated by a small alleyway. It totaled over 7,000 square feet. It had cheap rent and coaches that covered all of the classes. It was in a great location with a high income area. It was perfect for what we wanted, and we knew we would see immediate success.
The first 4 months were full of renovations and learning. At the end of the 4 months, we realized our initial investment had dried up, we didn't have the skills to manage our cash, and we didn't have money to even pay ourselves.
So there we were, early 2017, new paint and decals on the walls, new concrete floor, and some fresh weightlifting equipment. We were ready for the flood of fitness enthusiasts who were going to come knocking down our doors. Oh, but how wrong we were. Obviously, this was not the case. We had a much greater expenses than what our recurring revenue was even close to. We didn't know what to sell, nor did we know how to sell it. The gym lacked culture, community, and life. We thought we needed to continue selling to the same demographic the previous owners had targeted when clearly our identity had changed. This gym was no longer a boutique women's gym, even though we thought that was who we were supposed to go after. We needed a new target demographic, and it took us the better part of a year to realize this. Without knowing who our ideal client was, we couldn't attract the right people. We had no effective means of delivering a message we thought was correct, which of course it wasn't, and we still weren't entirely comfortable with the sales process.
I would call home crying about having no money, unsure of what to do. My parents were of no use, though, having never owned a business in their life, and they didn't understand. Simply put, we didn't know what to do.
Thankfully, Evan showed us the power of Cash Dash, and we focused on quick wins to get the initial cash into the business. Our CrossFit group members came from a higher income demographic, which allowed us to sell paid in fulls and manage to survive. But we knew this wasn't a long-term strategy to create sustainability. With cash management under control, we shifted our focus to increasing our monthly recurring revenue by growing our weightlifting program. We optimized the weightlifting onboarding, and we became clear on what the product was. We brought an auto closer and taught our staff how to sell. We set a 3-month personal goal to pay ourselves $1,500 a month each.
By June of 2017, we hit that target and started to think bigger. The second half of 2017 was full of setting specific revenue and savings goals, developing our staff, and understanding the power of networking. By the end of the year, we finally had some stability. We now had a stabilized product, had our entire team trained on how to sell, and started duplicating ourselves with varying degrees of success. We hit the niche in our marketplace. With our knowledge on how to sell in the niche market we were in, our weightlifting club grew to more than 60 athletes by the end of 2017. We knew we could achieve more, and we set our sights on 100 weightlifters by the end of 2018. Hitting 100 weightlifters was going to require something different than what allowed us to get to 60. So we now had to focus on our staff leading into 2018.
We spent months aligning our vision, mission, and purpose with all of our employees. We trained them extensively on our core values until they started to show up daily. We have implemented weekly team meetings and PDIs that give our team clear objectives to strive for every week. We've pivoted from only focusing on our own development to that of our employees. We have helped them clarify what they want to achieve, and together we have created a plan for each one of them to live the life that they deserve. This has allowed us to continue to see steady progress, growing from 20 weightlifters to 100 in 2 years.
Initially, we couldn't afford any full-time staff, other than the two of us, only part-time coaches. But we are slowly adjusting our part-timers to full-time, converting 2 employees this year and adding 1 more part-timer. We've also hit a best month ever in July of $49,000 and subsequently clearing $40,000 in monthly revenue consistently thereafter, something we dreamed about doing just this past spring at the Santa Monica Mastermind, an event hosted by NPE. Our revenue quadrupled from 2016 to 2017, and from 2017 to 2018 grew 1.5 times. Next year, we'll crush that $500,000 mark.
Looking back at our progress, we can see the themes of our years. 2016 was about initiating change, just getting up and going. For me, it was a monumental year of finally feeling some hope to make change, and for Sarah, seeing the vision that I had for my weightlifters and using her skill set to help.
2017 was full of learning about the beast we had just purchased and growing ourselves to match it. There were highs and there were lows, but we made it out alive in time for 2018, where we could take what we had learned and put that into our staff. We used to be scared, unhappy, and uncertain about our future. Our circle of people around us didn't make us better, and we spent our time being busy, thinking that was progress. We only thought about ourselves and questioned the decisions that had gotten us to where we were. It wasn't healthy, but fortunately the story didn't end there. We are now excited about our futures, living a life we love. We are selective about who we spend our time with, and the time we do spend is productive. We are focused on other people who will eventually have the skills and knowledge to replace us, and we play big to empower others to play big as well. We also now understand why we made those life decisions that got us into those dark places and are at peace with our life choices.
As we set our eyes on the future of Newport Strength, we're optimistic at what lies ahead. We are committed to our goals of reaching a stage 6 business in 2019. We want to continue our CrossFit classes and keep honing in on our true identity of group fitness. We really understand the power of staff now, and we are working hard to create more opportunities for them. As of today, we've reached our 2018 goal of 100 weightlifters, which makes us one of the largest private clubs in the country. We want to continue to expand inside of our niche and create the best weightlifting team in the US. I intend on continuing to develop national champions and athletes that compete at the international level. I want to bring more awareness to the sport of weightlifting and help introduce it to the masses.
This past summer, we were able to take almost the entire month of August off, traveling to my family in Canada and heading over to Europe, where we got engaged on the Amalfi Coast. So now we have a wedding in our future.
So I'd like to wrap this up by revisiting the question I posed to you all in the beginning. Where did we find our courage? From these 3 steps. We put time in, and we still do every day, into our own development. And remember, whatever this looks like in the beginning, it really doesn't matter. It will start to evolve over time. For me, I just had to move my club into another location. Also, your business is a direct reflection of you. When I was at my lowest, I only had a handful of athletes. Now that I've changed my outlook, my business is doing so much better. And finally, love the process and be open to the feedback. The worse your situation is, the more it's trying to tell you something.
Thank you to Evan and NPE, who's the only reason we are still running this business. We would not be here if it weren't for him and for the tools NPE provides us. Also to both our families who, from the start, were very supportive of buying and owning this gym. To those watching and listening to this presentation, thank you. While we have a lot of room to grow, we were inspired at our first mega training by owners like us, and we hope to pay it forward. showing others that even when you're at rock bottom, you can succeed beyond what you ever thought was possible.